What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Fish the Moment. Today I'm joined by my brand new video editor and content creator here at Fish the Moment, Jimi Easterling. Jimmy, great to have you today. We've been fishing buddies since I was 12 years old, fishing the junior tournaments. This guy is an absolute stick from Southern Arkansas, so we're really excited to bring you on the team.
Yeah, man, I'm happy about it. I know you told me 4 years ago, hey, I'm gonna hire you one day, and I laughed at him, really. Like, we're fishing Lake Hamilton, hadn't seen each other in a while, and it was right before COVID, so I hadn't seen you until recently because of the COVID and the pandemic, and we just haven't been able to see each other being 4 hours away. And you told me, hey, I'm gonna hire you one day. And I was like, I know you're not. And then here we are. So I'm excited to be part of the team and part of the Fish the Moment brand and company, and here we go, let's get to work.
Super excited to have Jimmy on. We've fished together forever, so he knows all about how I fish. I know his fishing style. We have some differences between what we do, but we also fish a lot in the same way. So I think the content's going to be very familiar to you guys. And one thing that's really cool about Jimmy is he's actually a football coach. He's coached college football, high school football, math teacher. So you guys know I love all the analytics and the teaching, and Jimmy's the right guy to kind of keep that going in some other videos as well.
Yeah, and you're right about that. Like, I've coached football for 12 years, 5 at the college level, 7 at the high school level, and been around the state too. And the math, you know, like, so I love math. I was telling you about it earlier. You know, I mean, I'm teaching algebra right now, but I've taught every level of math in high school, you know, from 7th to 12th grade. And you know, I know with your tournament data or your data you've brought into the channel, I've loved, and you know, and I like to study that as well. And you know, with football I would, of course, baseball too, but then the fishing I study it, and I love what you brought to the channel on your analytics.
Yeah, we're gonna keep that rolling, guys. We wanna make sure we have analytics. We're gonna be showing you guys all the cool drone shots, sonar recordings. Jimmy's a hammer offshore, up shallow, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we're gonna share a lot of awesome stuff. And in this video, just to show you guys how good of a stick Jimmy is, we're gonna talk about a trip you took to Lake Fork a couple days ago, because he missed the dirty 30 pounds for 5 bass by just a couple ounces.
Yeah, so it was one of those days now. Lake Fork's one of my favorite lakes. I have some history on Fork. I live almost 3 hours away from it, but I try to fish it as much as I can. Last year I took 3 trips to it, so it's not a new lake to me, but the lake was down 6 foot, so that was totally new. My first time to be out there with it that low. And like you said, I mean, I had 29 pounds, 2 ounces. I also had a 10.03 with that, and that was my biggest bass. And to catch that out there with all the pressure it gets, you know, everybody, you hear Lake Fork and all these big bass, you know, you hear these big bags, but it does take something to catch them fish. Because even that day I was out there, boats are everywhere, and those fish see the bait so many times, and they see so many lures. I see it as a great accomplishment going out there and catching fish. Got him. Holy smokes, that's a big fish. We got the drone on and everything. Stay down, girl. Stay down. The net's gone. That's a 10-pounder, dude. Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Holy smokes! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Look at that! I think that's a 10-pounder.
And the great thing about what Jimmy did that day is he was taking a page out of the Fish Moment playbook, finding some obvious offshore areas. One thing that I talk about a lot in this channel, guys, is fishing shell beds. And I made some videos about shell beds, and Jimmy hammers them on shell beds down in Texas, Southern Arkansas. But the deal with Lake Fork, guys, as Jimmy mentions, it gets so much fishing pressure. And when you have a lot of fishing pressure on these lakes, you can't just go to the obvious points, the obvious humps, the obvious ledges. You have to go to these more subtle areas. And the area you found, Jimmy, was pretty special.
Yeah, so it's an area to where, like, if you look at it on Navionics map, look at the Humminbird Fish Mart, you know, the map, the Humminbird map that's on the app on my phone, so I don't have a Humminbird graph, and look at a paper map, I mean, it just looks like a normal bank in a way. Now, there shows a creek channel on the Navionics app, as you know, you will see here on the show, but it's not one of those easy spots to pick out. You know, you see all these easy humps, like Fork, you know, has everything in it you want to fish, it is there. So it's not one of your first spots you look at. Now, it's also a spot that day that I started off there. I ran, and I didn't catch any fish, but they were there. As you know, so there was bait out there, there was fish I saw, but I ran around to a couple areas, saw other boats. I only could fish a couple spots, and when I went back, not one boat's been there yet. So I knew them fish hadn't been messed with. And like I said, there was one spot I told you had 7 boats on it at one time. And yeah, 7 boats. I mean, there's some fish getting caught there, and fish that were caught there that day, I know from just talking to people, but 7 boats on a spot, and here I am, a spot that I had to myself from daylight to 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and the great thing about this spot, if you take a look at it on a contour map, is it's just a boring, non-obvious rounded point.
Yep.
No one's gonna look twice at that point. But if we take a look at this spot, when the lake is drawn down in Google Earth,
Yep.
you'll notice that there is a big gap between the shoreline and this timber.
Yep.
Kind of explain what was going on there.
So there is, so as you'll see in the video here, there is a big gap from the timber and the shoreline. And when I notice on the Navionics map of Lake Fork, there's a creek channel coming through there that goes over that point. Well, then you get to the point, you see the timbers right here on the right side, and that's where the channel's coming by, and then there's the point. And the point has its high spot and drops right down there in that creek channel. And then as Johnny talked about with shell beds and rock, you can look up there on the point and see rock because the lake's down 6 foot. So then out there in front of it is more rock. There was rock on the drop, there were shells on the drop also. And up there on the point out of the water, you see white shells in spots. So that's a eye footage, or a hint that, hey, there might be shells out here. So to the right you had timber, up here you just had your flat point that dropped, and those fish were just set up there. Like I said, all the fish I caught that day were pre-spawn fish. Wow. Now, I was expecting to catch post-spawn fish, but they were pre-spawn fish. They're getting ready to go up in that cove, which you see here is a spawn-in pocket, timber, creek channel, grass, perfect habitat to go spawn in. But these fish were just getting ready. And to make it better, of course, like I told you, there's bait out there. Them fish were pushing up bait and just eating them. So I was staying in that strike zone, bringing either my crankbait down, which caught my first fish, and then I changed from a Carolina rig to the big Jig Head Worm, and that day the Jig Head Worm did the damage. And I think it might have done the damage just because it's more subtle and not as many people were throwing it yet. They were throwing the Carolina rig. There's even people throwing the big old monster already. Yeah. And like I said, the crankbaits is going to catch them out there. So I switched up to the Jig Head Worm, which is just one of my confidence baits, one of a more subtle kind of presentation, and it caught them that day. And so, like I said, it was just one of those days I'll always remember. Come on, fish. Let's get one more. Let's get another 5. Is he on? Yep. What we got here? We got another one. Good fish. Good fish. Yep, stay on, girl. Stay on. Stay on. They are hitting the worm. That's a beautiful fish. Stay down. Mad at the world, I know. That one's a lot more smoother. Nice. What a day this has been, y'all. What a day this has been. Nice fish right there. Another healthy 4-pound fish.
It's awesome. And the great thing about finding a spot like what Jimmy found is that the way that you can identify that the fish were there is by using your observational skills in terms of the cover and the bait fish and fish you can see on your screen. I think so many guys nowadays get caught up in this idea that a contour map is going to give them all the secrets. Yep. I've made a bunch of videos on this YouTube channel, and you guys can check out these videos down in the description about what to look for on a contour line map, how to identify creeks, points, humps, things like that. But fish don't just relate to spots because it looks good on a contour line map. There's so many other factors that can lead into that, including, like in this spot, an old timber line where there's not necessarily a solid creek channel, but there's enough of a kind of old channel that doesn't maybe create a depth change, but creates a timber line change. And then you also have the rocks, you have the shells, and you can graph that with your side imaging, with your down imaging, you can see the bait fish, and now by looking at a spot that looks terrible on a map, you can take these other factors into account, and it actually makes it a good area, especially on a pressured lake like Fork. Yes, and that was the thing about me with Fork is, me knowing May, I thought there'd be less boats out there because of the conditions, but there's a big bass tournament that upcoming Saturday, so there are boats everywhere getting ready. But me knowing I'm going to Fork, I have to find something different. Like one guide has told me, there's no secrets on Lake Fork, and that's one lake, as much as the elites have been there, Major League Fishing, as much footage of those pros out there, everybody knows what to fish, so I'm trying
trying to find something different, you know, and you can do that on your own home body of water, you know, and that's one thing me and you've always done, fishing back Washita to Gray. We're trying to find something different and even fish a way different to catch these fish. And luckily for me, like I said, I mapped out, I found 5 of these spots on my map before I went down there. I checked 3 of them out the evening before, and 2 of them I felt really good about. This was one of them, and I didn't even get a chance to go check the other one out. So there was not like this is the only spot like this on Fork. There's more, you know, but it takes time and a little effort to go and try to find something other than, hey, look at this hump or look at this point, you know, or hey, this is where Patrick Waters fished, you know, during the Elite Series. So I try to do a little bit on my own and fish to my strength, you know. As I know, as like you know, me and you used to fish offshore quite a bit. And he's gotten a lot better at it coming up here Northwest Arkansas, where I fish offshore, but I don't got to fish past 20 feet or 15 feet. So I know my strength is, hey, find something 10 to 15 feet where you might find something 20 to 30. So I knew for me, hey, looking at that map, hey, this fits me. If there's fish there, I can catch them. So that was part of me too, is going to my strength, because even down there at Fork right now, they're catching them deeper. But I went and did what I was comfortable with.
For sure, and that Jig Head Worm, man, you got it right here. This is just a Zoom Magnum trick worm. I think it looks like a Yum or an Excite 5/8 ounce jig head.
Yeah, that might even be the 6 cent jig head.
6 cents.
You know, and Johnny knows I throw the big Jig Head Worm a lot, and it kind of goes back when we were in the junior bass club fishing these on the spinning rods. We're throwing little shaky heads. Well, I'm not a big spinning rod guy, as Johnny knows. So I've, of course, 4 or 5 years ago, I started seeing these Texas guys catch big fish with this. And then when I started throwing it, I remember my first fish in about 2 months, I caught a 7-pounder. And so that was my kind of like my confidence bait right away. I could throw it on a bait caster. I can throw it in 15 to 20 foot of water. I can find a rock real easy. And so it became a confidence bait for me from May throughout the summer. Now, I don't stick to one jig head. This is, I think, the 6 cents version. I have the Yum, the Excite version too. I have some homemade ones. I do like the ones with the bigger hooks. This is a 7/0 hook right here, screw-on head. This is just the watermelon candy color worm. You see a little bit of garlic there. I didn't put much on this one, you know. But I have a couple colors I throw in this. For me, watermelon candy, it's just another color, you know, I have confidence in. I've caught fish with it at Fork, Millwood, like Washita even. And so in that day, I switched up my colors, and this was the one that just ended up, you know, catching fish.
That's awesome. And throwing a bait, guys, like a Jig Head Worm, you know, I throw a football jig all the time. I throw that Neko rig. There's a lot of baits I end up throwing, and I really enjoy throwing these kind of off-the-wall baits. I need to throw this Jig Head Worm more because it's something that I haven't really thrown a lot. Actually, the last time I caught a fish on it, I think it was like 2013 on Pickwick Lake.
When we fished the other day, I pulled that out, and you looked at me like I was crazy. You're like, hey, I hadn't seen one of those in a minute, and I'm over here like, hey. So.
And that's the cool thing too, guys, with working together, Jimmy and I, and we're also gonna have Matt Steffen make some YouTube videos as well for us up north. And we're gonna have a collaboration of several different fishermen showing off different techniques. The way I fish is kind of based on my strengths, the areas that I like to fish, the area of the country I'm in, the lakes I'm fishing, and I can kind of get in a rut of fishing the same types of baits, same types of areas. Well, just fishing with Jimmy, seeing the videos he's gonna be producing, I'm gonna be able to learn a lot from different bodies of water and different techniques he's trying, and same thing with Matt up north. So we're trying to diversify the content on the channel. We're going to be making a lot of awesome videos. Jimmy's gonna be editing them all up for us, and that way we have all more time to coordinate all these videos and get them out to you guys, and hopefully get more consistency out here as well. You guys know I've always been trying to get more consistent, but the quality of our videos is the most important thing to us, making sure we are giving you great fish catches, great details, mapping, all that stuff. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos. And Jimmy, we're super excited to have you as part of the Fish Moment team. Thanks for sharing your story on Fork today, and look forward to working with you, man.
Yeah, yes sir. I'm excited, I really am. It's gonna be a new adventure to me, you know, and I never thought I'd be doing something like this, but I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm gonna give it all I have. You know, I'm a hard worker and get to go catch some fish and do the best I can for the channel.
Let's get after it, man.
Yes sir.
Guys, look forward to some videos coming out soon with Jimmy and myself. We'll be doing some challenges against each other, a bunch of big fish catches, slinging some big ones over the side of the boat. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see y'all next one.